Jack the Ripper, the mysterious serial killer whose identity has long remained a mystery.
That is...
until now.
For over 130 years, a name has haunted the shadows of history: Jack the Ripper. A name etched in blood across the foggy streets of Victorian London. But here we are, in 2025, with a bombshell claim that shakes the foundation of everything we thought we knew. Experts say they've finally cracked the case. The mysterious figure who terrorized London. Apparently it was Aaron Kosminski, a troubled Polish barber, shrouded in mystery, with a dark past. But is this truly the end of the mystery? Or is this just the beginning of a new chapter in an ongoing controversy? Today, we're diving deep into these shocking revelations, the critics who are pushing back, and why this answer might actually be more disturbing than the mystery itself. Imagine the scene. 1888. The grim alleys of Whitechapel, East London. A place where life was a battle for survival in a district overwhelmed by overcrowding, disease, crime, and poverty. In these same streets, 5 women met their brutal end. Their names: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly, the infamous canonical 5. Each victim mutilated with eerie precision, some with organs removed. Their deaths weren't random. No, this was the work of a predator who wasn't losing control but perfecting his twisted craft. The city was gripped with fear. Panic spread like wildfire, and newspapers, ever hungry for readers, added fuel to the fire. The killer was dubbed Jack the Ripper, a name that struck terror in every heart. The press even received taunting letters from the killer himself, including the now infamous From Hell letter. In one, a piece of a human kidney was sent, gruesome proof of his madness. Fear seeped into every corner of London, and the public was paralyzed by it. Still, despite hundreds of officers patrolling the streets, no one was ever arrested. The killer slipped through their fingers, again and again, mocking the public and revealing just how vulnerable the most powerful empire in the world was, right in its heart. And then, just like that, it stopped. The killings ended. No more bodies, no more letters, silence. And from that silence, the legend was born. But there was one man who always lingered in the shadows of suspicion: Aaron Kosminski, a man who, to most, was just another face in the crowd, a Polish immigrant struggling to survive in a harsh city. But to a few sharp-eyed Scotland Yard investigators, Kosminski was far more than that. He was a man whose behavior had grown increasingly erratic, a man suspected of having a violent, homicidal streak. But there was no hard evidence, no fingerprints, no blood traces. It was just suspicion, a suspicion that would simmer quietly, until it would finally be brought into the light. Kosminski's downfall came not from an arrest, but from a gradual mental decline. By 1891 he was locked away in a mental asylum, exhibiting disturbing delusions and violent tendencies. And though he died in 1919, it's hard not to wonder, was this the quiet end of a serial killer's reign? But then, in 2014, something remarkable happened. A breakthrough. A blood-stained shawl, thought to be from one of the crime scenes, was found. DNA testing revealed traces of blood consistent with the victim, Catherine Eddowes. But the real shock came when mitochondrial DNA from the shawl was compared to the living descendants of Kosminski's family, and the match was startlingly close. Could this be the proof everyone had been waiting for? Could Kosminski really be the Ripper? The case was reignited in 2025, with renewed fervor, but not everyone was convinced. Experts questioned the validity of the findings. The shawl's history was murky at best. How could it have survived for over a century without proper documentation? Even more concerning were the issues with mitochondrial DNA itself. Unlike nuclear DNA, which is unique to each individual, mtDNA is shared by family members. Could the match really be a fluke? Could contamination have played a role? The skepticism was fierce. Critics pointed out the lack of a clear forensic chain of custody. Others warned that the tests might have been compromised, with too many opportunities for contamination. And still, the scientific community remains divided. Some say the case is closed. Others say it's far from over. So, here we are, at the crossroads of a century-old mystery. Could Aaron Kosminski really be Jack the Ripper? Or is there something more we're missing? What's the truth? The shawl, the DNA, the story, it's all a puzzle. And while we may be closer than ever to the answer, one thing is for sure: the Ripper's shadow still looms large, casting doubt and intrigue over every step we take. The Jack the Ripper case, one of the most captivating and terrifying mysteries in history, continues to capture the world's imagination. Even in 2025, a claim was made that Aaron Kosminski, a troubled Polish barber, is finally the man behind the horrific slayings in Victorian London. But for many, this revelation raises more questions than it answers the truth. Some believe the shawl allegedly found at the crime scene solves the riddle, while others see it as a sensationalized piece of pseudoscience. For years, the hunt for Jack the Ripper seemed like an insurmountable task. But now, with the DNA evidence pointing to Kosminski, the case that once slipped away from the grasp of police and the media has come rushing back into the spotlight. And yet, the world isn't in agreement. Experts, scientists, and the public are divided. For every person defending the claim, there's someone else pointing to flaws, questioning the methodology and ethics behind the evidence. And as the doubts over DNA testing grow, the spotlight on other suspects intensifies. In 2025, it's not just about solving a historical crime, it's about real people, real families, and the search for closure. The descendants of Catherine Edos, the fourth victim, have stepped forward, asking for a formal acknowledgement of the truth. It's not revenge they want, but recognition. They say, "We just want the truth to be said out loud." This simple statement, shared in interviews and social media, has become a rallying cry for justice. It's no longer just about a murderer, it's about families healing from generations of pain. Russell Edwards, the historian who owns the infamous shawl, has embraced this public momentum, promoting his findings across podcasts, books, and TV shows. Supporters flooded the internet with messages of triumph, celebrating the end of a long-held mystery. Hashtags like #Jack the Ripper identified and #KOSMINSKI confirmed spread like wildfire. But with support comes skepticism. Some critics argue that the evidence is shaky and that jumping to conclusions could do more harm than good. As the debate rages on, even in the heart of Whitechapel, the very place where the Ripper's terror began, the question remains, is Kosminski truly the man behind the myth? Local tour guides are divided. Some include his name in their narratives, while others remain hesitant, waiting for the dust to settle. But for some descendants, the truth remains elusive. They speak of confusion, anger, and quiet acceptance, knowing that, no matter what, their lives are forever marked by the legacy of this infamous crime. But as we march forward into 2025, the legal roadblocks are clear. The UK doesn't open old cases unless there's irrefutable evidence. Kosminski, if he were alive, couldn't face a trial, and so the push for closure becomes symbolic. It's not about punishment, but about the historical correction and the formal recognition of pain suffered across generations. The truth, it seems, will never be simple. And while the science of DNA points toward Kosminski, the critics warn against jumping to conclusions, fearing that doing so will rewrite history to fit emotional narratives. They caution that naming Kosminski could set a dangerous precedent. Yet, supporters argue that ignoring the evidence will only prolong the pain, and that naming the Ripper will restore dignity to the victims who have been lost in time. As the debate continues to unfold, petitions calling for the formal recognition of Kosminski as the most probable Ripper perpetrator have gained traction. Thousands have signed, but whether Parliament will take action remains to be seen. Still, the momentum keeps building. The mystery, after 137 years, seems closer to an answer than ever before. But what if they're wrong? The specter of doubt looms large. Despite the DNA evidence, the shawl's murky origins and the limitations of mitochondrial DNA make this case far from conclusive. What if Kosminski wasn't the Ripper? What if the science is flawed and the real killer is still out there, hiding in the shadows? Could history have misidentified the true culprit? And if so, what happens to the legacy of a man whose name has been intertwined with such a horrific crime? In the end, the Jack the Ripper case may never be truly solved. It's not just about identifying a person, it's about grappling with our own fears, prejudices, and the dark side of human nature. Whether Aaron Kosminski was truly the killer or not, the mystery will live on, forever etched in the hearts and minds of those who dare to search for the truth. But now, it's your turn. Do you think the mystery has finally been solved, or is there still more to uncover? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more chilling tales and unsolved mysteries. The story of Jack the Ripper may not be over yet,